Welcome back to Falkett Figures, where today I'm going to be doing another WWF Hasbro figure unboxing, diving into this huge box of carded Hasbros that I've now got. This one is going to be looking specifically at Series 5 figures. Usually at this stage I would have my Series 5 figures out on the table to add to the collection on camera, but I don't have any other Series 5 guys at the moment. I don't have any loose Series 5 guys. Well, I do have loose Series 5 guys, but they're not in the condition that they're in my loose figure collection. They're knocking about a toy box in my kids' playroom. But yeah, so I don't have any guys that have taken off card or any nice condition loose Series 5 that are part of my loose figure collection. So this is essentially the start of a new chapter in my WWF Hasbro loose figure collection. So let's get started. First guy I've got is the one and only appearance in the line for Mike Rotunda, the father of Bray Wyatt and Bo Dallas, who was known as IRS, Irwin R. Shyster, when he had a run in the WWF back in the 90s. So this is literally the least I have paid for a carded Hasbro. This was, I think it was less than £15 delivered, this guy, because as you can tell, it's in really bad condition. Oh, still at that price, it's a gamble, because if you've ever seen these guys, these figures, 20-30 years after they came out, one of the most common things with IRS is that his body yellows and his arms don't. So I don't know if it's a different type of plastic or what, but it's really, really common to see an IRS with a kind of yellowed body and still got bright white arms at the top of his shirt. And it really kind of stands out, really detracts from the figure. This one has a completely yellowed bubble, which would say to me that at some point it's been left in sunlight. It's hard to, because the bubble is so yellow, it's hard to tell through the bubble if the body is yellowed as well. I mean, it looks like it has, but I don't know if that's because the bubble's yellow or because the figure actually has. So I'm going to open him up, but I'm not confident that he's going to be the IRS that takes place in my loose figure collection. I may have to go out and buy this guy again. As I say, least I've paid for a Hasbro yet, a carded Hasbro yet, but still a gamble at the price I paid. So let's check him out. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I can see that even the back isn't yellowed, the front is all yellowed. And that's what I kind of thought. I thought, at that price, I don't mind taking a gamble at that price. But when it arrived and looking at it through the bubble, I thought, I don't think he's going to do it. I think I'm going to have to buy another one as well. So anyway, here he is. I mean, that is the biggest issue with this figure. I mean, it happened with a couple of them. There was a couple that were notorious for ending up with different coloured bodies to their arms. A couple of the punchers were fairly notorious for it. But this is really common to see with an IRS with a yellow body and white arms, and this guy's got a white back as well. So yeah, it was worth a gamble, but he's not going to stay in my lineup for much longer. I'm going to be looking for a new IRS, I think. Okay, so on to the sort of slightly more exciting guys then. I don't have any such concerns with the next couple of figures that I've got. I think they are actually in reasonable condition. Again, I've got good deals in them. Well, depending on who you're talking to, a lot of people seem to get angry with me in the comments that I'm opening up any kind of condition card. But these were for Hasbro's. These were cheap figures to pick up on card. So I'm happy enough. So bit of a vague connection between IRS and this next guy, because they were both very closely connected to Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, and that is his bodyguard, Virgil. Yeah, so I mean, like IRS, this is the one and only appearance in the Hasbro line for Virgil, and he strikes a bit of a sad figure these days. He's got the kind of internet memes going round of sad Virgil sitting at conventions with nobody coming up to his table. Bit of a walking punchline in the WWF back in the day. I believe he was called Virgil. His name, the name his ring name was given to him as Virgil. I've heard as a sort of sly dig at Dusty Rhodes, who was at the time the kind of main competition. Dusty Rhodes' real name is Virgil. And yeah, he was a bit of a chump character that kind of went about with Ted DiBiase, and I think it was like a sly dig at him when he first came into WWF. And then when he joined WCW, he was renamed Vincent, which obviously anyone knows anything about WWF is a kind of dig at Vince McMahon, the guy who runs the WWF. So when that's your kind of backstory, how serious can you be taken as a wrestler? You know, no wonder he's sitting at conventions with no one wanting to come and speak to him. But yeah, decent looking figure though. I think it looks relatively like him, and it's a puncher as well, which is one of the better moves. So let's open him up. Here we go. Oh, he's like minty new. Joints really stiff. Looks really fresh. Really clean. See if I can get that to work. Yeah, there you go. Snapping back pretty good. I like the punchers. I always like the punchers. Jake the Snake was a puncher. I think he was maybe the first puncher, and he was one of my favourite Hasbro. So yeah, I do like the punchers. I didn't have Virgil, but my cousin did. So I played with my cousin, who was like, there was weeks that separated us in terms of birth, age even. So we played together all the time. We had all the same stuff, and yeah, he had Virgil. So there was almost like no need for me to have Virgil because my cousin had it. Yeah, the only thing for me about Virgil is this isn't how I remember him. I remember him in the long tights, the long kind of the same colour scheme, white and red. But I definitely remember him in the long red and white striped tights. I don't think I remember seeing him in this. I've obviously seen images and videos of him in this gear after the fact, but I think from like my own genuine memories, I don't ever remember seeing him when I was a fan of wrestling back in the 90s wearing this gear. So I don't know if this was before or after he wore the long. I'd have to go and check that out. He wore the long tights. So I don't know if he was kind of, this is before my time, or maybe when I was kind of growing out of the WWF. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, that is the only issue I really have with Virgil, is that he's not how I'd want him to be represented in terms of my own memories anyway. But there's a few like that in the whole line. You know, I've talked in previous videos about Earthquake wearing the wrong gear. I mean, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, well, I don't know why he's wearing those. Obviously I know why. He's in the Hart Foundation, the new Foundation tag team, but that's not the kind of main image you want a Neidhart. But anyway, yeah, so Virgil, he's one of the guys that we would play with. As I say, my cousin had him, we would play with him, but he never had the title belt around his waist. Let's just say that. He was always kind of like one of the guys on the outside. If you were having a lumberjack match, or if you were having a Royal Rumble or something, he was knocked out first or second. I mean, he was a jobber, let's be honest. He was a jobber even back when we were playing with toys in real life and in the Toy Federation as well. So he's one to tick off the list. So in that regard, I'm glad to have him. But he's actually a decent. He's a better figure than he was a wrestler. I think he looks pretty decent. Yeah. So next one up. This is a guy that I remember the day I got him. I remember getting him. It was my gran that bought him for me, and I remember being excited to take him home. And it is this man right here. This is the Mountie. Obviously went on to be one of the Quebecers as well, I believe, in the tag team. And yeah, most famous for having his feud with the Big Boss Man. This card is pretty beat up. I was going to say it's not too bad, but no, when you look at it closely, it's pretty, the bubbles all mashed up as well. So there really isn't much else I'd be doing with this but taking it off the card. But this is one I hear about all the time because the accessory for the Mountie is a little shock stick over there. under the card. A lot of people missed this because it's black and it's on the black section of the card. And I've heard stories of people like throwing these out in a bucket with not knowing that there was actually an accessory in there and stuff. But I didn't. I definitely remember having his accessory, having his nightstick, his shock stick, sorry, because he would, obviously, you would make him fight the Big Boss Man, and they would both have their sticks. He would have his shock stick, and Big Boss Man would have his nightstick, and it would be essentially like a weapons match. Whenever they were fighting each other, and that was probably the most common way that the Mountie got played with, was in his rivalry, his feud with the Big Boss Man. So the card's actually coming, the bubble's coming away a little bit at this side, so I'm just going to open it up. There we go. Here he is. So he's got the same, essentially the same move that Boss Man has, the first Big Boss Man, I mean, with the arms come down like that. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good likeness. I'm going to see if I can put his shock stick in. There we go. It's a really good likeness for the character at the time. I mean, it looks exactly like him, but I remember having an issue with this figure that his head was kind of tilted to the side. It's a similar thing with the Bret Hart figure as well in the Hasbro line. The head's kind of tilted to the side, and I just thought that was stupid. I just thought that looked a bit silly. I didn't like that. But this is an iconic figure. This is one of the figures that everybody had. It reminds me so much of the time. And he was one of those characters, a kind of larger than life character, if you like, somebody that would stick in your memory as you grow up from watching WWF in the 90s. And yeah, he's cool, man. I'm glad I've got him. Even if he does have a silly look in his face, his head tilted to the side like that. This, I mentioned in the video I did about blue cards, that Marty Jannetty was pretty heavily customed, because they just swap him with a Shawn Michaels head to give yourself a new Rockers tag team. But this guy, I see him customed all the time as well. And I think it's ridiculous when people do this. Just paint a figure as it comes, just paint it differently. And it's usually a terrible paint job. But people custom the Mountie to be Kimchi, who is Kamala's trainer. So they make him wearing sort of desert, sort of jungle camel gear and stuff. Which is, and Kimchi had like a face, I don't know what it's meant to be, if it was meant to be like a mosquito net or something over his face. But essentially has like a luchador mask that's white and black, and they just paint the face that colour, change the colour of his outfit, and go, there you go, there's Kimchi. And I actually look at them and go, no, that's not Kimchi, that's a Mountie that you've painted, and it looks ridiculous. Stop doing that. Yeah, so that is one of the most common custom jobs that you see. What a waste, actually, because when you look at this is a cool figure, man. It's nice, detailed. You know, it's unique to the rest of the line. I mean, I don't think anybody else has some of these body parts. Yeah, why would you waste a Mountie figure by doing that to them? But anyway, there we go. So, not the most extravagant of video today, and obviously I'm going to have to go back and replace this guy. Actually, when you look at him, his little braces, suspenders are completely worn away as well. That's really poor. So I'm going to have to get another IRS at some point as well. But happy with Virgil. I think he's looking really fresh, really clean, as does the Mountie. And the Mountie's one I've got memories of. The Mountie's one that makes me smile when I think about not only playing with this figure, but also watching WWF wrestling in the 90s and remembering some of the matches this guy had. And the jailhouse match with the Boss Man, where one of them, he had to spend the night in jail in storyline. And I remember thinking at the time, oh my goodness, he's gonna spend the night in jail. Can you believe that? You know what goes on in the minds of a 7-year-old. But yeah, so really happy to get these guys. Glad to add them to the collection. I'll definitely be getting another one of this to extend the collection. But these guys are spot on. Happy with these. They go straight into the lineup. So, as I've said, I now have a stack of Hasbro's waiting to get unboxed, as you kind of saw at the start with my overflowing cardboard box of cardboard Hasbro's. So there will be more and more of these videos coming up. So stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel. Click on your notifications. Like, comment, share. Stay safe. I'll speak soon.